A monster with sharp teeth growls. A woman stares down the monster and her pupils turn cat-like with a whoosh sound. They move! In one slash, the monster is decapitated. Who is this young woman with strange eyes? At a village, onlookers are gathered around a dead boy. They say there have been 6 killings with the previous one only 3 days earlier. With such an insane KDA, they are sure there are monsters called Yoma in their village and anxiously gather to ask their chief what to do. A boy called Zaki objects to the villagers who want to round up suspects because Yoma can transform to look just like humans. The chief stops their quarrel and informs them that he received a reply to his letter, and a Claymore will be sent to their village. The villagers gasp in shock. They do not seem to feel safe hiring a Claymore, but the chief explains they are the only ones who can find the Yoma when they are transformed into humans. The villagers leave the chief's place and Zaki spots Rocky, his lil bro, outside. Rocky asked Zaki, "What's a Claymore?" Denying that he was eavesdropping and insisted everyone in the house were just loud. Rocky asks if a Claymore could defeat a Yoma, and Zaki answered yes, they are the only ones who can. He explains that they were humans, specially made to fight monsters, and their organization's name is also Claymore. They charge money for slaying Yoma. Rocky hears this and says the Claymores must be tough, but Zaki explains Claymore are not really human anymore. They are hybrids who merged with Yoma flesh and blood to become strong enough to fight the monsters. Rocky finds it hard to believe. Zaki says no cap and explains that only females have managed to merge with Yoma tissue successfully while males all died. They can tell apart Yoma with their silver eyes. The villagers shout that the Claymore has arrived and find her scary. One NPC villager says to another NPC villager that Claymores look weak but carry big-ass Claymore swords. That is how they got that name. Some villagers still doubt the decision of the chief because Claymores are half monsters. The Claymore walks through the crowd and meets the chief to discuss payment. She says that someone else will collect the money, but only if she succeeds in slaying the Yoma and not if she fails and dies. The chief asks if the Yoma will be easy to find, and the Claymore hits him with the "it depends." Depends on if the monster is being a wuss and suppressing his monster aura. She assures the chief she will find it eventually because this town ain't big enough for the both of them. Once she leaves, the chief falls on his ass and says he was shook because she felt like a monster. The Claymore is outside scaring the villagers when she sensed someone approaching from behind. She swings her sword and it stops an inch away from Rocky's face. Rocky protests the near-death experience, but she says nothing. Rocky keeps following her for some reason and asks if she is a Claymore. She clarifies that her organization has no name and Claymore was the name the NPCs gave them. Rocky says he can't believe she is a Claymore when she looks so normal instead of something fearsome. She asks if Rocky is scared of her and he admits he's simping more than fearing because of how pretty she is. She ignores the simp and keeps walking. At the edge of the village, she stabs her sword into the ground, sits and leans against it to rest. Rocky imitates her but with a wooden stake. She asks the boy why he is so interested, and Rocky says it is because she is the only person who can kill the Yoma that killed his parents and help him avenge his parents. She reminds him she is doing it for the dollar bills and not for justice like an anime protagonist. The simp remembers he has to cook dinner and starts to run off but still tries one last time to hit on the lady with a name exchange. He got shut down with a "you don't need to know." When he got home, his uncle was being real intimate with the floor for some reason. Oh, the blood splatter probably means he dead. Reiki turns to tell Zaki about the uncle's L when Zaki reveals he is actually the Yoma that killed his parents and took over Zaki's body. The Yoma says he could fully tap into Rocky's memories and act just like him, but the Claymore's arrival means he has to check out of this Airbnb ahead of schedule and have Rocky as a pre-departure snack. Rocky goes for a punch like a dumbass and gets slapped to the floor. The Yoma starts trash-talking Rocky while Rocky is on the floor coughing up blood, telling him that humans are too noob and can only feed the Yoma. Just then, the Claymore crashes into the house and shows the brick floor who's boss for some reason. Probably to distract from how bad her aim was, she started bragging about her 200 IQ strat of using Rocky as bait because the boy smelled of Yoma. Rocky noticed that the Claymore's eyes are golden and cat-like. The Yoma thinks he can still clutch a 1v2 because it is just another noob human. Rocky backseats with, "Look out." But the Claymore was like, too slow, and did a classic anime appearing behind the enemy pro-gamer move. They start to dance, and the Claymore takes the Yoma's left arm. The Yoma cannot believe a half Yoma like the girl can be faster than him. Cornered, he tries to use Rocky as a meat shield, but the Claymore takes his right arm too to complete the set. Now that the Yoma was armless and harmless, the Claymore starts giving her victory speech like a toxic gamer and explains she could beat him so easily due to speed buff, from the Yoma blood and strength buff, to equip big-ass swords because of Yoma flesh. Her face turns even more Yoma-like while doing this speech, and the Yoma starts to beg for mercy. The Claymore bisects the Yoma and has her back turned to the explosion of blood like an action movie hero. She swings her sword clean of blood and leaves. The NPCs are impressed that the Claymore took out the Yoma in one working day, fast like a one-day Amazon Prime delivery. We see Rocky having PTSD shaking like a leaf in the chief's house, but when he hears the Claymore left for the next bounty, he runs after her. He remembers his previous name exchange fail and tries a sob story when he caught up to her. He admitted how scared he was, and that is why he will never forget what she did for him by killing the Yoma. He tells her he is grateful and tries again to get a name exchange. This time, my boy Rocky succeeds, and the silver-eyed girl says her name is Claire. Story returns to Claire now speaking to another village chief regarding payment for a Yoma bounty. She says no to the fee and slices off his head. The villagers think the chief was murdered, but unnamed cookie cutter Villager A points out the chief was actually a Yoma in disguise. The fake chief wanted to bait the Claymore within striking range of his overgrown fingernails, but could not trick Claire. As per usual, she does not personally collect the fee, but someone from the organization. We cut next to a waterfall bathing scene that, unfortunately, I will have to censor. We finally see what the organization's handler looks like. A creepy man with sunglasses hands her some money and tells her about another mission, but this time, 27 people have been eaten, which means there is more than one Yoma, or one with an eating disorder. Claire arrives at the job location and the streets are empty except for one Yoma disguised as a young lad waiting for her out in the open. Normally that would be an issue for a Yoma, but he doesn't think it matters if he and his pals can ambush her and win 4-on-1. Correction, 5-on-1. She leaps above the ones without wings, but the flying Yoma slaps her back down. She blocks multiple attacks and finally takes one out. She drops her sword, but it was a trick to bait two Yoma closer, and she takes them out in one swing. Claire starts trash-talking again about how only weak Yoma would need to hunt together as 5, but the one with wings had enough of her toxicity and ditches. The young lad-looking Yoma gets blitzed, and we see the flying Yoma getting some distance away. Claire gets all veiny on her face, arms and upper chest, then yeets her sword like a spear hitting the flying Yoma square in the chest. Mission complete. She runs into the creepy man leaving the place, and he starts chatting about her past, which she brushes off. We now cut to our simp waking up from a nightmare of his name exchange fail. The innkeeper says our simp nearly died crossing the desert, but he got rescued, and that his bills have been paid by a Claymore. He scarfs down his food and runs out to find Claire. Some town NPC informs Rocky a Claymore was looking for him and said she went to the woods. Rocky realizes the Claymore isn't Claire but assumes it was her who rescued him and not Claire. He asked why she even paid his bills, and she said Claymores are kind. Rocky shoves her away hearing that because Claire told him Claymores do not call themselves Claymores. Fake Claymore then transforms into a Yoma and grabs Rocky as a hostage. Feels like deja vu. Yoma yells out to Claire to come out from hiding. I think Simp got used as bait again. This Yoma demands Claire to drop her sword because she does not want to get blitzed like that other hostage-taking Yoma. Claire tries to pretend to be full Sigma grind set, but the Yoma calls her bluff by mentioning how caring she was to him. This works, and Claire throws her sword off a cliff. The Yoma celebrates and rushes Claire, punching clean through her gut. Midway through the Yoma gloating about her win, Claire grabs her arm and falls down the cliff with her. The Yoma thinks the fall damage is nothing, but Claire showed her true 200 IQ move was to fall towards where her sword is and takes a quick W. She pulls out the arm and goes all veiny to close the gaping wound. Rocky starts crying and apologizing, but Claire clarifies that it was all according to plan. Claire deduces that Rocky got thrown out because she got thrown out too after being the sole survivor of a family massacre by Yoma, and hires him as a cook until they find a town for him to live. Rocky is hungry, and Claire spears some lizards with her sword for some lizard kebab. Claire only ate one bite before becoming full and tells Rocky half Yoma hybrids only need very little food and water. She is a little envious that humans like him can enjoy food. He stares at her all creepy while she rests, but she gets up to meet her handler again. The handler questions her excuse to take a kid along with her to be a cook. She cuts off his chit-chat and asks if he brought spare attire, and while changing, he examines her. Unless he is a doctor, this seems like sus behavior, but whatever. He warns her about not getting hit in a vital spot and says her wound is fine. He warns her about the risk of being too attached to the boy before handing her a black card. Claire is shocked and sees the symbol on it. Next morning, they set off, and Claire informs Rocky that her latest job is to kill a Claymore and not a Yoma. Rocky asks why, and Claire explains that Claymores are humanity's only weapon against Yoma, but the power comes at a cost as the human half of these hybrids eventually succumb to the Yoma half when the human mind can no longer control the monster half. Every Claymore has their unique black card with their own symbol hidden in the hilts of their swords. When a Claymore knows she is reaching her limit and wants to die as a human, she sends her black card to the one she wants to end her life. We see Elena, the warrior who sent her the black card. Claire notes that Elena still looks the same and not showing signs of transforming into a Yoma, but she says she is holding it back. Elena reminisces about the good times and asks Claire to kill her while she is still human. We see Elena finally losing control and becoming veiny. Rocky tries to stop Claire, but Claire does her anime move of cutting someone and running past them on Elena anyway. Claire buries Elena and tells Rocky how Elena was her only friend in the organization, having started the process together. Rocky questions why she would become a hybrid to fight Yoma if it is this painful and if it only ends in tragedy. Claire answers that it is her only reason for existing. This is the end of Volume 1 of Claymore Recapped. Like and subscribe if you'd like to see more.